Hey everybody, thanks for joining me again. It's Mama Kay coming at you from her home studio in Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada, on our wonderful and exciting and kind of weird week away from teaching band and being out of the school. I have another interview for you with one of my most favorite people that I get to see on quite a regular basis, but not as much as I'd like to, but I'm not going to tell you who they are. I'm going to let them do that themselves. So hello, special guest. Who are you?
Hello, Mama Kay. I'm Tyler Yip.
And what do you do, Tyler? Yep.
I work in Seven Oaks School Division as the divisional teacher team lead for the arts.
Oh, fantastic. And how long have you been doing that job for?
It's 6 years now.
Holy crow. What were you doing before then?
Before then, I was teaching band, middle years band and band in high school.
Wow. So, how many years were you teaching band for before you switched your musical
Well,
career?
I would say probably 13 years because I've been doing this. This is my second year full time
Hmm.
and 15 years in the education system. So I would say 13 years, yeah, teaching band.
And what did you start with, middle years or high school?
Middle years.
Do you mind saying what schools you were at?
Yeah, I was at Seven Oaks Middle School and Edmund Partridge and Garden City Collegiate.
Oh, fantastic. So, um, what were some of your favorite things about being a band teacher?
Well, I guess the number one is working with kids every day, making music, um, teaching students about music, sharing my passion for learning and playing music.
Very cool. What do you play? Or what
Saxophone.
is your main instrument?
Yeah, my main instrument is saxophone. I can get by on some of the other woodwinds and percussion, but yes, saxophone is my main instrument.
And which saxophone?
Well, I only own an alto and a tenor. If I can own more, I would love to own a soprano and a bari, but funds will dictate
No kidding, they're not cheap.
that.
So, can you tell me a little bit about your musical journey? What made you want to go into music as a career?
you know, I believe it is always lived inside of me. Right from a youngster, when I was born, there's pictures of me as a 2-year-old with headphones on my ears. I grew up with lots of music in my household. By the time, and I was lucky because I think by the time I was 11 or 12, I had such an influence from my father, and especially in jazz, that at 11 or 12, I knew I wanted to do something with music, whether it would be play music or teach music or just be around music. And I'm saying I'm fortunate because so many young people go through those long months and years of like, I don't know what to do with my life, and that can be a huge stressor. But I was lucky. I always knew that I wanted to do something with music from a young age.
So how did you go about that then? What was your journey? What did you do? How did because you didn't just say I want to be a music teacher and then here you are, music
Right.
teacher. So what did you have to do to get there?
Well, luckily, because band is such a prominent core thing in Manitoba, I learned music through the band programs starting at, I guess, 11 or 12. And my first instrument was saxophone. Those are back in the
They
days.
let you start on saxophone?
Yeah, that was back in the days where you could start on saxophone. And I got to the doubles later, and I mean that's a whole other thing. But yeah, I started saxophone, and actually it was the instrument that I least wanted to play.
What?
Yeah, Miles Davis is a huge influence on my musical journey, and I wanted to be a trumpet player, but I had braces as a youngster. I got them when I was 10 or 11 years old or something like that. And it hurt so much to put pressure against the mouthpiece, right? And at best, I could sort of, blast out a low C. and had trouble doing anything else on the trumpet. So I was a little bummed that saxophone was the one that seemed to work the best. And I was like, okay, I'll play it. And all these years later, I mean, I think I chose wisely because I can't imagine doing anything else. But luckily, I had the fortune of learning music through the school system, through the band programs.
Where did
Uh,
you
I went to Nest Junior High and then John Taylor Collegiate,
Who were your
and
teachers there?
Mr. Mittendorfer and Mr. Shaver and Mr. Jones.
Very
Yeah,
cool. So
yeah,
I just had an interview with Greg Crow, and he also went to John Taylor. Were you
I
guys in
did.
bands together?
The joke is that I always like to bug Greg because he's a couple of years older than me, that he never spoke to me.
Oh,
But that's, and just to give him a hard time, but that's actually not true. He did speak to me and he wanted me to do some drumming with a group of his. So yeah, we made that connection all those years ago when he was in grade 12 and I was in grade 10.
that's
Uh, yeah, I'd have known each other since, but so yes, yeah, it is kind of funny to go to live in a certain area and to sort of meet as youngsters, right? And then you
great.
just have this relationship as friends all these years later.
Okay, so you played in band in junior high and then in high school, and then what did you do?
Then I went to university, and again, lucky because I knew that I wanted to enter into the School of Music. I wanted to study saxophone as sort of my main goal. I got a performance degree, and then did a little bit of taking some time off, traveling. Began some graduate work, and then ultimately came back to Manitoba and got my Bachelor of Education so I can teach in the school system. So it was around that time in my university days where I realized, I have this passion for music and I really want to teach. I want to share that.
Now, you and I have had a funny journey. We spent some time, we've actually, summertime has been the time where we've gotten
Yeah,
to know each other the best.
that's right.
When I feel that I've gotten to know, when I started to get to know you the best was when in those long hours upstairs at St. John's Music, we worked
Yeah.
together for a couple summers in a row. And I know for me, working at a music store really gave me a lot of insight into how things all worked. Would you say that you learned any skills that you've taken forward from working in the music industry like that?
Oh, sure. I mean, doing that kind of work for sure as a band director, knowing how to do some repairs on musical instruments, that's a huge asset. I didn't really think about it in those days at that time. It was a job and it was around music. So, I mean, I was happy. Looking back on it though, yeah, met some like incredible people, worked with some awesome people. So, um, I mean, in hindsight, it was like, you feel like you chose wisely
Yeah.
because, you can do all kinds of jobs, you can work all kinds of jobs, but certainly doing that at that time was really, really awesome because it began that sort of learning about that network
Yep.
and, who's your ally and, just getting lots of friends in that vein of work.
Absolutely.
But yeah, that was a long time ago.
It was a long time ago.
I mean, I thought you were going to talk about the last 6 years of Bandcamp, which, has been great.
Oh,
Yes, it was, 20 years ago, right? I mean,
yeah. Yeah. It's wild. I don't know where the time has gone. So now, beyond your career and like your day-to-day career in music, do you do any music making or have you done any music making sort of beyond the regular work days? Like what sort of groups have you been in? I know that you've played in a few different ensembles outside of regular
yes,
acting.
yes. When I've had time and, with like a young family and stuff, I don't play as often as I would like. But I do get to play from time to time, and that's been great. I don't make my own music. I've never really been interested in writing my own music, but I do enjoy playing other people's music
Yeah.
and playing in groups. And everything from, sort of wallpaperish type gigs like in the jazz vein to rock and roll to blues. The thing that I'm involved now with is a 60s soul group, and we play from time to time. It's not very often, but for this old guy, playing on the weekends in bars, that's not something I could do every, like as often as I would want anyways.
Right.
So
Now, is there sort of a weirdest gig or job that you've ever played or been involved in? Do you have any weird stories you'd like to share in a family format?
yes, thanks for clarifying. Um, I was going to share one, but I don't know if it would be totally family formatted. Um, you know, you know what? I might have to come back to that one because
Okay, we may have to do
well,
band
okay,
intro.
no, you know what?
Okay, go
Can
ahead.
I share this? Can I share this? Because this is something I'm proud of. At 17 years old, I actually had a house gig. We had a jazz quartet in high school, and we had a standing gig on a Friday night at this restaurant, and we played for 3 hours Friday night for like burger and fries. That
Oh,
that that
that's
was
amazing.
that was our payment. And what was cool about it is that it was a standing sort of gig, right? Like every Friday night for about 3 to 4 months. And we would invite, friends out to it and stuff. But I mean, talk about exposure. And, we didn't have to really search out anything for that in those days, because we knew, okay, we played Jordan's Bistro, in St. James Friday night. So that was really cool. That was really cool.
Oh, that's amazing. And you know what? Burgers and fries are worth their weight in gold when you're that age.
Well, yeah. I mean, at that time, well, I don't know what an entree costs. I mean, this is going back a while, but certainly, $10 to $15 or whatever.
That's awesome. So, do you have any words of advice for students who are thinking that they might want to go into music as a career?
Um, well, first, I think it's an awesome thing to get into because if you're passionate about music, and I think that's the number one. As long as you're passionate, um, then you're on the right track.
Yeah.
Um, and as long as you can keep what you originally love about music at the forefront, right? If it started off as a hobby and something you love, then work to make sure that you still love it.
Yeah.
Um, because some people have had that issue, right? Of oh, I love music and I want to make a living doing it, but then it turns into something else.
Yeah.
Where it isn't so much fun. And I would say work to discipline yourself to really hone your craft, to know your instrument, your voice well, to take in any mentorship, any resources, to take all of that in your own learning. Because I think if you're in the music field, I mean, you have to set yourself apart.
Yeah.
You have to, it's about being, excellent at something, and to really and always sort of keep your purpose of why you're doing it at the forefront as well.
Well, those
Yeah.
are amazing words of advice. I want to thank you so much for taking time out of this weird and busy week that we're all experiencing here. It's always great to visit with you. And yeah, maybe we'll have to do a little Bandcamp 101 video a little later on.
Absolutely.
Excellent.
Thanks, Mama Kay.
Thanks, Yipster. Have a great rest of your day.
You too.
Bye.
Bye-bye.